Welcome to Why Such a Fuss, an exciting new channel dedicated to help individuals and businesses to learn more about data protection in a way that is easy and engaging. I'm Christina from CVG Solutions, and I am a fully qualified data protection professional. I am passionate about educating, empowering, and enabling businesses to thrive. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel and help us to spread the word. Data protection is there for a reason. It protects you, your family, loved ones, customers, employees from coming to harm through the use of personal data. So make sure you click subscribe. Now, get ready to embark on a journey of growth and knowledge as we dive into the world of data protection. In today's episodes, we have Scott Sammons, a remote DPO and IG consultant, speaker, coach, and NLP master practitioner. It's so great to have you on the podcast, Scott.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. So, Scott, today I want you to talk about AI, which is a subject that it's currently dominating social media, well, any media really in general, it's everywhere and on everybody's lips. Now, there is no denying, I'm sure you agree with this, that it does have some usefulness. And obviously, it's improving all the time. I mean, there are some predictions that apparently in 5 years' time, AI would have replaced roles such as accountants, HR specialists, trainers, and maybe even our roles and probably many more other. Now, this is quite daunting, and particularly if you have spent several years getting various qualification and then you have many years of experience, all of that will become meaningless. Personally, I don't think that AI will ever be able to replace the human element. I think there is still hope for us human. But what I wanted to explore with you, Scott, was the practical side of AI. What I mean by that is, how does AI get its improvement and development at the cost of us in terms of our personal data and to the individuals?
Well, like most things in life, science development, product development, etc., it is a little bit of a trade-off. And there is a bit of I'm going to use the word trade-off to be had here, because fundamentally AI is data-driven. I mean, we sort of are data-driven as human beings, but we see data, or our minds see data in everything. So not just the traditional hard and fast digital stuff, whereas AI just does digital and that's it. So if you're going to develop and enhance and improve your algorithm, and that's basically what AI is at the moment, a series of complex algorithms that either interlink or connect or whatever, you've got to give it data. That's the only way that it can learn and improve, is the more it sees, the more it's exposed to, the more it grows and advances, especially certain types of AI. Not all, some of them are very static, but the majority.
Yes.
Therefore, it's if you give it fake data, made up data, anonymized data, that has some value, certainly, and you can definitely buy data sets online, and I think IBM and some other big firms, there are loads out there, will create and make available to you data sets where they've gone through painstaking steps to replicate data sets that are genuinely fake, as close to the real thing as possible, but still fake, so you can still get the most out of them as possible. But any data scientist, any data management person will also tell you that fake data has its limits. And if you want it to try and replicate a life, a situation, a problem, whatever it might be, you need good quality stuff. So it then becomes a bit of a friction/balancing exercise. The need to have good quality stuff that's relevant to the real world, so that algorithm can predict the real world or get close to the real world. But in the same breath, you also don't want it to be this data vampire that then sucks in things and pulls in things and starts harvesting personal data on people en masse are going into areas that's got nothing to do with that particular thing because that's what it sees, that's what it's exposed to. So it is a balancing exercise, and this is where I think a strong or reasonably strong data protection or privacy program or AI regulation, like they're looking at in Europe, doesn't dictate one or the other, but at least gives you the balance, requires you to ask the question, can we develop something legitimately with fake data and therefore don't need to go anywhere near individuals or personal data, or do we actually need to use personal data because this is something like, for example, medical stuff, where
Yeah.
I've just got to use data about human beings, otherwise this is going to be too risky to use on human
Yeah.
beings. So making it more risk-based to then see if
Yeah.
it's
I suppose,
worth the intrusion.
yes, because I suppose what worries me, I mean, I'm not against AI per se as a concept because, it's part of innovation, human being. If you look at our history, we're constantly innovating. It's part of our DNA, and otherwise we wouldn't survive as a race. So innovation is key to our survival and to our advancement. But my concern is that at the moment AI is so unregulated, especially in the
Mm,
UK.
hmm
That I suppose is my argument.
hmm
And as you say, the EU are pushing forward an AI Act that is there to provide at least a little bit of protection, if you want, or give a bit of a framework. One instead in the UK, it's off you go kind of thing, and and so that's what worries me because if you think about it, just using it as an analogy, when a pharmaceutical company produces a new drugs, they don't just simply release it into the world. They do test upon test.
hmm
It has to
hmm
comply with certain standards,
hmm
before it's actually released to the public. And that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yep.
So the same principle and the same logic, in my mind, should apply to AI because it could cause as much damage as releasing an untested drug.
That's why I like the EU's approach. I mean, yeah, it's got its criticisms and people criticize it for not going far enough, blah, 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 blah. And they're fair criticisms. But the structure of saying, well, rather than making every single algorithm, every single AI use jump through 1,000 hoops, why don't we actually look at the risk? So to your point, if it's something that's really being used that directly affects human life, is something that is really, really risky, like, for example, giving AI the nuclear codes, absolute no-no,
Yeah.
right the way through to, okay, yeah, we want it to, like, next level down, yeah, we want to use AI to assist in surgery, risky.
Yeah.
If it was a doctor, you'd have to jump through hoops, so let's make, AI jump through the same hoops as well. Yep, fine. Right the way through down to, I don't know, using AI to improve the design of a pencil.
Yeah.
You jump through like one or two hoops. That's it, to make sure it's a reliable pencil.
Yeah.
That's it. That sort of risk-based approach, I think, is how this sort of regulation is going to work. That way then, as a society, again, through governments, we can say, look, there are some things where AI use is an absolute no-no. As a society, ethically, absolutely not. Giving it the keys to the nuclear code will always be a no, as an example.
Yeah.
Right the way through to, yeah, we agree, as a society, determining the most iconic or best efficient designed pencil is something low risk, but we don't
Yeah.
want to really make them
Yeah.
jump through hoops. I think that approach works. The UK's approach of, well, let's fiddle a little bit here with data protection and let's sort of introduce an AI bill, but not really. But even that might get scrapped because what's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
It's mixed messaging, and it doesn't. If you're a pan-European provider, you've got all this stuff you've got to follow in 27 markets, but the UK market is a bit all over the place. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
It's weird. It needs to be risk based, and you can still be conservative with a big C, because I know the conservative ideal is low regulation. Okay, well, you can still be conservative with a big C and make regulation risk based.
Yes.
That the two
Yes.
can, work in
Yes.
harmony like that. So politically, they could still do it, but they don't. But never mind.
No, no. But I also believe that there should be more transparency by the tech organization that are developing AI when they're using data, and particularly personal data. I think there should be higher transparency on how it's used, where it's from, do you know what I mean? And all of that. Because it feels I think what's happening is that a lot of individuals, in particularly young people, that are not perhaps as used to, or that they don't necessarily understand the dynamics of data because they are so used to the digital world compared to older generations like us, for example. And so they don't understand that data that they put into the Facebook or the LinkedIn etc., goes outside in terms of to other parties being used and reused by so many 20 vendors and so on for their own purposes. And I think that transparency needs to be there.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think it's most people, and technically a wider topic, but I think most people just don't understand data. If you talk to your average member of staff, for example, and just say to them, you ask them a very simple question, what is data? They'll give you, it's Excel, or it's something I've
Yes.
put in Excel. They'll give you examples of what they've done with it and where you
Yeah.
might find it. But when you actually ask, what is it? How does it work? Many staff, not all, but the majority, will just look at you like, I've got no idea what you're talking about. Please leave me alone.
Yes.
And actually, you think, well, you're generating it, you're manipulating it, you're storing it, you're using it, you're analyzing it, you're presenting it, you're using it to, fuel decisions and strategies and all these other good stuff. And yet, I've got no idea what it is. It's
Yeah.
like giving someone, not quite a loaded gun, that's probably a bit of a dramatic example, but the same sort of thing. It's like giving someone a bit of technology they've got no idea how to use and say, off you tot. Of course, they're going to go here, there, and everywhere, or not
Oh,
value it, or
yes.
not
Yeah.
understand it because they've just got no idea how it works. So I think
Yes,
that as part
absolutely.
of this, there needs to be a bit of I think the public as a whole, business people as a whole, need to be just upskilled on what data is. So kids at
Mm.
school, people in university, people in college, as part of your induction into the working environment, you should be taught what data is, where it is, and the pitfalls of it, and how you can very easily think A is B and B is A, but actually it's the other way around, or B is
Yeah.
C, based on what the data is telling you. So I think
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest practical problem with AI is the data side of it, is
Yeah.
that people are trying to apply some of these technologies. So like Copilot, for example, in Microsoft, you're trying to apply some of these technologies to systems that weren't built for it, to data sets that weren't built for it, and staff that weren't built for it. So they've got
Yeah.
no idea how it works. You put rubbish in, you're going to get rubbish out. And when you try to talk to people about, well, we need to improve our data to make this better, again, they look at you and go, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. Do we
Yeah.
have to do that? Can we not have the shiny thing and off we go? It's like, well, no,
No.
rubbish in, rubbish out.
Yes. Yeah. And you're right. You just remind me of something when you say the majority of people, again, as a generalization, don't know necessarily what data is. Because when I first started my business, I remember sort of going on networking
Mm,
events
mm,
and people coming to me and say, I don't need GDPR because I have no data.
yeah,
And I remember saying, really? So
yeah.
you don't have customers?
No customers at all. You've got no way of identifying stuff. Oh, no, we've got that.
Oh, right. So that's
Whoa.
data then. Well, I only have name and email addresses. That's it. That's all I've got.
Hmm,
I've got nothing
hmm.
else. No other data.
But it's business email address. That doesn't identify
Yeah,
people.
no, that doesn't matter.
Really? And all that stuff that people have been sending me to Scott Sammons wasn't actually for me then. Oh, amazing. Oh, shouldn't have done it. Should have
I
given it
can
all
go
up.
home now.
Amazing.
So, yeah, so there is still, sort of, what is it now, 5 years down the line, since, I mean, 6 years now far down the line since GDPR came out,
Mm,
that there is
mm.
still not a full understanding, or there is still a misconception on what data is. And so now we have this complex system of AI, that it's all about data and people don't understand it, because there is still a basic lack of understanding. And I think, like you say, we need to somehow generate that awareness, generate that understanding and education, across the whole, if you're looking at the UK, across the country, starting from, the children all the way up.
And this is where I think we, as information professionals, have a really strong role here, because we could do the traditional thing of, oh God, not another thing, and we're on the back foot, and we're seen as a blocker, rightly or wrongly, we're seen as a blocker, and all that other traditional stuff that we've been labelled with. Or actually, we could use this as an opportunity to go, right, you want this technology. The only way it is going to work is if we sort out our data. So let's have that conversation. Let's lead that conversation. Get organizations, staff talking about it, make them more aware of it, put it on the agenda. So if we want to be a lean, green AI machine, we can be. That can happen. But we've got to put data first. We've got to put data governance first, so that we can utilize these tools. Otherwise, you're never going to utilize them, and it's just another shiny. Oh, let's move on to the next thing then. Shiny. Oh, next thing then.
Yes. I believe that if the population as a whole is much more aware of what data is, what their personal data is, and how it's being used by the big tech, that in itself will also provide as a control mechanism for the tech organization not to abuse the data.
Yeah, gives the citizen choice. So if you want some of the big firms to be listening in and analyzing everything you say in the privacy of your own home, that is your right and freedom. If you choose to allow them in an informed way, because you understand that your data is being processed and manipulated and predicted in that way, and you want that service, fine. But if you don't want that service, but you're not even aware that service is in your home, that knowledge will definitely upskill people and give them more ability to make informed choices.
Yes. Scott, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you again for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
How can people get in touch with you if they want to carry on the conversation?
They can find me on X, Twitter, at IG Lighthouse. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Scott Sammons. You can also visit my website, www.lighthouseig.com.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Scott. I just wanted to remind our audience to please click the follow button to avoid missing any future episodes. If you would like to get in touch with me, I can be found on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search for CVG Solutions. Alternatively, you can email me at info@cvgsolutions.co.uk.